It is that time for Mahala Monday again. So thank you very much for joining us. We're streaming live right now on YouTube as well as on Facebook. Welcome to Mahala Monday. My name is Diogo, and as usual, alongside me is Rhoda.
Hi there, welcome everybody to Mahala Monday, and this is our second episode for the morning.
Yeah. It is, and one that we've been looking forward to for some time, because let me just start off by saying this, Rhoda. I mean, Mahala Monday is all about informing you, the viewer. So when it comes to education, of course, bringing you all the different fields that is available, all the institution, entrepreneurship is something that is of utmost importance as well, and that sort of goes hand in hand. But then there's another facet, which is social well-being. And we all know we all got to be productive contributors to the country and just be aware of our circumstances and help what we can. And this is really where we're coming in today.
Oh yes, that is so true, Dougal. You know, social well-being has always also been one of our top priorities at Nickay as well. And, you know, just having to put back into society and having to uplift our community out there, because that's always a struggle, you know, in our modern days and modern time today, that we want to basically assist our communities, and if we can't uplift our communities, we can't uplift our children, and that affects our future, you know, kids at the end of it, and our future entrepreneurs as well.
It certainly does. And with that being said, of course, so today we're going to highlight for you and engage with the wonderful people out at the Tygerberg Hospital Children's Trust. And yes, you've heard me, the Tygerberg Hospital Children's Trust, which we know is one of the biggest institutions of its kind around. They serve a huge area and a huge amount of people, of course, and we would like to find out more about them. But very important, and we're talking social well-being, this is of utmost importance, because we can all make a contribution in some sort of way, and you can start right now by sharing and liking this video. So we can have a really big outreach, so everybody on the planet, for that matter, may be aware of what the wonderful people at the Tygerberg Hospital Children's Trust is doing, and we're going to find out more now.
That is so true. And don't forget, you can go onto the website as well, www.tygerbergchildren.org.za, and don't forget on our YouTube channel, which is Nickay Productions, and Facebook as well, because we'll have these videos for you to view afterwards as well. So go and like the page and share as well, guys.
Yes, and with that being said, of course, it gives us then a great privilege quickly just to welcome and to say hello to the CEO of the Tygerberg Hospital Children's Trust, Jason Falcon, who's joining us live this morning on Mahala Monday. Jason, good morning. Are you well?
Thanks for hosting me on the Mahala Monday show. It's a great pleasure to be here.
Absolutely awesome to have you here with us today, and just great to have you along with us. So Jason, before we engage with you and find out more about it, let's have a quick look at a little video to see what the Tygerberg Children's Hospital is all about.
As proud patrons of the Tygerberg Hospital Children's Trust, my wife Leah and I were trying to make this hospital better. But every month we lose a trained nurse, an essential piece of equipment, a desperately needed bed, and inevitably a child we should have been able to save. Without your kindness, we may soon have nothing left to lose.
Tutu and Mrs. Leah have taught us to live in the service of others. Please donate and make a difference in the lives of millions of children. Support the Tygerberg Hospital Children's Trust. My name is Emma and I'm 6 years old.
I absolutely love that video. Yeah, wow. That was just a little intro for you on the Tygerberg Hospital's Children's Trust. And as we mentioned a short while ago, of course, with us is the CEO of the Children's Trust at the Tygerberg Hospital, Jason Falcon, who's joining us. And of course, any question and comment that you have, we please invite you right now at Nickay Productions on YouTube and Facebook. Definitely put it there and share this video as well. And any contribution that you would like to make to this live broadcast, please, we encourage you to do that. So at Nickay Productions on YouTube and on Facebook, and looking forward to your questions that is coming in this morning.
Hi, welcome Jason.
Thank you so much.
So could you tell us a little bit more about your trust? Or at least your...
So the Tygerberg Hospital Children's Trust was founded in 2001 by some doctors and professors at the hospital, looking for a mechanism to support the child patients at the hospital. We were very lucky to have received the patronage of Archbishop Emeritus Desmond Tutu and his wife, Mrs. Leah Tutu. And yeah, so basically that's how we started. So almost 20 years old. Last year we went through a bit of a reorganization. You know, sometimes you have to dust down the cupboards and repack the bookshelf because time doesn't stand still and times change, you know. So we really looked at a lot of things, including things such as the name of our trust. We were formerly named the Tygerberg Children's Hospital Trust. We've chosen now to change the name as of last year to the Tygerberg Hospital Children's Trust. And that speaks volumes, small change, but speaks volumes to the work that is expected of us and the role that we play in the community. Because Tygerberg Hospital is the second biggest hospital in the Western Cape, in the country, as well as in the Southern Hemisphere, and is the biggest hospital in the Western Cape. So if you look at the importance of primary healthcare in our communities, 2.4 million children in the Western Cape, of which 60% draws towards Tygerberg Hospital as a primary care facility. We can't just look at the children in the hospital. We have to look at their families, their moms, their communities that they come from, what is the root cause of their health issues. All those things have led us now to a holistic view about our role and a holistic view around child healthcare. It is not just about a kid who's sick in the hospital. We can see that quite easily now this year with the secondary and tertiary effects of the COVID pandemic being things like malnutrition. So even malnutrition in babies is on the rise because moms have chosen not to breastfeed, for example, have now gone into formula too early. So the impact of that is the hospital now is receiving an influx of babies who are showing the early signs of malnutrition because they're on formula and not on breast milk.
Yeah. So, Jason, just touching on some of those numbers that you said there. So we know Tygerberg Hospital, second largest on the continent, as you alluded to, and so obviously it sort of serves a very, very broad community. And we know the Tygerberg Hospital is situated in the metropole, in the mother city, in Cape Town. So how you have patients from covering which geographical areas?
So basically, if we exclude the Western Metro and the West Coast and part of George, everything else draws to Tygerberg Hospital.
So you would, in other words, have patients coming from as far as that?
Correct. Even as far as other provinces, traditionally the Northern Cape and the Eastern Cape draws also to us. But interestingly, we also have cross-border patients who specifically choose to come to Tygerberg Hospital because of what they've heard about Tygerberg Hospital's neonatal ICU, for example. Okay. So you find moms from adjacent countries who know that they will have a problematic birth, but they choose to travel to Tygerberg Hospital to give birth at our neonatal ICU because they've heard of the success rate of our neonatal ICU and the professors and doctors and nurses and staff that work there.
Okay, wow. Well, so it is certainly a large sector of the community that would visit Tygerberg Hospital, which is, we're talking big numbers here. Oh, yeah. And of course, the role that they are involved in within the country. Now, just to touch on that, I mean, I suppose every hospital you look everywhere has, if I can call it, a children's ward or minor ward for that matter. We do know of the Red Cross Children's Hospital in Cape Town, but I mean, Tygerberg Hospital Trust, you far exceed the numbers combined by any of the other institutions.
Correct, especially if you look at it like we do as a holistic healthcare problem. If we just stick with the theme of babies and moms, what is not counted in the wards of pediatrics is, for example, the wards where mothers are, obstetrics and gynecology, for example. So you can't exclude that from the health of a baby. So we are afforded as not being a children's hospital, but a hospital with a very large influence. We are afforded the opportunity to look at all those things holistically. So that's why I mentioned earlier the statistics and numbers are a little bit tricky because it doesn't include things like that. So for us, it's important to look at across the whole gamut of healthcare, how do we support the child patient? So very early last year, as part of our rediscovery process, we spent a good few months looking at a stakeholder network with the child patient at the center. And what we found at the end of that is Tygerberg Hospital has global relevance and has a massive stakeholder network, whether those nodes in the network actually realize it or not. Because Tygerberg Hospital is a university state hospital, Tygerberg is physically attached to Stellenbosch University Medical Campus, as well as other medical campuses on the same grounds. So just from an education point of view, if you look at Stellenbosch University's alumni, it has a global reach. So what are the opportunities that we are missing by not engaging across the full extent of that stakeholder network? So I'll give you a really good example. Many African healthcare medical professionals travel to Tygerberg Hospital for the learning. So to gain, for example, learning in neonatology at our neonatal wards. We also have international, let's say first world medical fraternity traveling to the hospital because of access to the disease. So we have two disparate scenarios. We have access to the education system and access to the disease. But as the trust, earlier in this year, in January, we contributed towards the purchase of the very first pediatric bronchoscope, ultrasound bronchoscope on the African continent. This machine allows for non-invasive diagnosis of tuberculosis, for example, in children, of which Tygerberg Hospital has the most pediatric TB cases in the world. So now suddenly you have access to the disease, access to the machinery, access to the education system, all in the same facility. So for someone coming from Europe or the US who's interested in research around tuberculosis, in pediatrics now specifically, they would come to Tygerberg to get access to the disease. But now you also have the first world equipment there as well.
Yes.
So you can see how this holistic approach comes to play and what kind of role we are playing in that space.
Almost definitely.
So I just want to ask you something quickly as we move in along further with the discussion. So firstly, with us this morning, and thank you very much for tuning in to Mahala Monday, we are talking today to Jason Falcon, who is the CEO of the Tygerberg Hospital Children's Trust. And of course, this is definitely an episode you've got to watch, and join us with us and like and share it. So Jason, just sort of paint me a picture quickly and exactly how it works and where the Children's Trust come in. And I know you've mentioned numbers now in terms of the sort of area that the Tygerberg Hospital, for that matter as well, just covers. But for a child, for somebody to be considered still a child patient, is that now up to 12? I'm assuming, yeah. And the second thing is, could you sort of paint us a picture? How does it work? Because if a child is under 12, we need like sort of a guardian supervision.
Yeah.
I mean, this would extend to the caregiver, the parent as well. Do you guys cover all of that? How would it work? Just paint me a rough picture.
That's correct. So if you can share the slide right now, I can talk through this slide, which is important to for us as a language. So we have, because of the extent of reach and work that we do, we've almost had to create a language so that it's clear and simple for us to articulate what we actually do. So there are four what we call baskets of care, one being neonatology, we spoke about that earlier, and then general pediatrics, which refers to the depth and breadth of our reach, so that 60% of 2.4 million children in the Western Cape comes into play. Then specialized care, of which Tygerberg is well known. So specialized care would include things like pediatric tuberculosis and HIV, other infectious diseases. Also are very important oncology, Tygerberg Hospital. There are also things like the Tygerberg Hospital School, who as of last year also falls under our support mechanisms. So the Tygerberg Hospital School exists inside the hospital
Okay.
purely to provide education and learning for children while they are transiting through the hospital. Then, of course, social development is the fourth one, which allows us then to reach out into communities and address the issues at the source. So then we articulate 4 different types of projects that we do. One being child and family-centered care, second being equipment, technology, and infrastructure upgrades. This is where the bulk of our money goes into currently. And then leadership, education, and training opportunities. And fourthly, research and development, which currently is dormant. So this gives us 16 variants of things we can do, problems that we can define, and then commit resources to addressing those.
Wow, Jason, that's quite interesting. And just looking at child and family center care improvement, and I know the equipment is obviously quite expensive. We take it for granted many a times that a lot of us actually have access to be able to go to hospitals and be there for our kids. And if you're looking at the far reaches of the Western Cape and that, it's not always possible for parents. And I mean, looking at this projects, I can just imagine how much relief it is for a mother to be able to go with a kid. I don't think I'll be able to handle having to send my kid to an hospital and not being there. And obviously looking at this trust is you also looking at seeing to the parent as well to make 100% sure. I mean, if you're coming from a rural area necessarily, you don't always have food. How are you going to supply food? How are you going to eat? Your kid is sick. There's so many things that obviously as a parent that you have to take it upon yourself when your kid goes to hospital. And looking at the trust obviously covers that as well. Am I correct?
That's 100% correct, Rhoda. So I'll give you an example of this here and how these things tend to link into each other and form other kind of nodes of problems that need to be dealt with. That's why it's so important for us to maintain control of the situation and have a language that we can talk to. This year, because of the lockdown rules, moms who came to Tygerberg Hospital to give birth, it wasn't very easy for them to leave. It was encouraged for them to stay there. So they opened extensive lodging facilities at Tygerberg Hospital where moms can stay, so that they can have access to their babies. But those moms come there with very little. So this year, I think in March, April, May, to those few months, maybe also into June, July, we raised a lot of help from the community just for simple things like clothing for the moms, toiletries for them, so that they can also maintain their personal hygiene while they are there. And some of their families live very, very far away in the outer reaches of the province. It's not easy for them to travel, and also with lockdown rules, it was practically impossible. So it was asked for the trust to help them, and we received a lot of donations for those moms there. And on a side note, Tygerberg Hospital is renowned for its kangaroo mother care program, which encourages skin-on-skin contact with babies. So those preemie babies who are in a ward there, the survival rate actually improves quite drastically just by having skin-to-skin contact with their moms. So the moms are actually encouraged to stay there.
Wow.
But they also need...
Brilliant.
So we just want to do a shout out to Samuel Mwanza, who's just joined us on Facebook as well. Thank you very much for tuning in, Samuel, and we see some other names as well popping along. And with us is the CEO of the Tygerberg Hospital Children's Trust, Jason Falcon. And we're talking everything Tygerberg Hospital Children's Trust today. And also we're going to get to the point where you can get involved as well. Now, Jason, I mean, obviously, your footprint, you're really serving a national community.
True, that is 100% correct. So I'll show you one slide further down the road, which talks to that. This one. So if you see the child patient at the center, you can see little nodes like the parents, the hospital staff, the families of the kids, where they come from, which communities. There are also doctors, professors, administrative staff, security. There are different suppliers. It's a government hospital, so there's government involved there. There's different education facilities like the Tygerberg School, Stellenbosch University, University of Western Cape, dentist school is there. All these different nodes that actually has a global reach. So for us, it's about how do we link those nodes together so we can collaborate and mutually support the child patients at Tygerberg Hospital. Because many of these outlying nodes in this ecosystem don't actually know that they are connected to those children there. So it's our role to communicate with them. That's why communication is so important for us. Marketing and public relations, why we're so sticky about our brand as well. So brand building is basically the vehicle across which we try and communicate with as many people as possible who may or may not have a link to the children of Tygerberg.
Wow.
So yeah, that is definitely a big stakeholding sort of spectrum, if I can put that. And I know a slide that you just went over now, and I like that in terms of your values, that you speak of trustworthiness. You also mention you're relevant, united, you are dynamic, and I suppose that means adapting with as the situation goes along. And of course, we've all learned hard lessons now with the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yes, 100%. So this is also something that we explored a bit deeper last year to try and understand what is our role in society and how are we going to do something about it. And out of that came these four values. And number one on the list is trustworthy. There is a lot of mistrust of NPOs globally, I think. I think the vehicles have been, the charity vehicle has had its own share of abuse over the years. And rightly so, a lot of people are skeptical about supporting charities. Mm-hmm. So trustworthiness is at the topmost of our values. If you are not trustworthy, we have no right to be in charity business. The other three, reverent. We work with children and we work with a very sensitive ecosystem of people, and we have to be completely reverent of their needs, their emotional needs in particular. The other two, united and dynamic, speaks to the way that we operate. In order for us to unlock these kinds of problems, we have to be dynamic. It's a very large space. There's big state entities involved there, and dynamism is probably one of the furthest things from their reality. But for us to be able to create an impact, we have to be dynamic. That's where our innovation models have come into play, and we regard ourselves as innovation-led. So we are guided by concepts and principles like these. Mm-hmm. And out of that, we are able to do many, many different types of things. Our team is quite dynamic as well. And United comes into play because that is what we are trying to do. We are trying to unite people across that stakeholder network that I showed you earlier. So all our work basically can be spoken through these four values.
Wow. Okay.
Our vision is, of course, to be united for a healthy future. And we put these things all together in our business model, which looks like this. So our values, of course, feeds how we behave and how we work towards our vision and our mission. And if you look at the little schematic on the bottom, in a nutshell, that is how our business works. We try and attract friends through storytelling and media or medium, such as yourselves, by the way, to try and help us get the stories out there to as many of our potential friends as possible. Once they are our friends, of course, they will support our campaigns, which is our hope. And then, of course, we have operational things like monitoring and control, and this ultimately leads to funding, which helps us then to, of course, carry out our projects and hopefully feed back into storytelling. So this is also a circular thing. Mm-hmm. So the more we go through the cycle, the more successful we are and the more work we are able to do in the hospital space, and the better we are able to support our child patients in the province and beyond.
So you've got all these sort of different ways, of course, and yeah, you like using us as an outlet to get your story out there. And now, considering the time we're in, how difficult has it been for considering the COVID-19 pandemic time frame? How difficult has it been in the sort of normal that we find ourselves now in to get the story out?
Well, for us, it's been business as usual, to be quite honest. Last year, as part of our innovative mindset, we actually closed our physical office at the hospital. We moved our entire team to a remote working scenario, and our office is basically cloud-based. So our team has been working remotely since last year, June.
All right. So I just see somebody else who's just joined us as Bronwyn Malavina. Thank you very much for tuning in to this episode of Mahala Monday. Good to have you with us as we're on this journey today with the Tygerberg Hospital Children's Trust. So as you were saying, Jason, please carry on.
Yeah, so if I can go a little bit forward to here.
Okay.
So we use various platforms to get our message out there through the mode of storytelling. Of course, social media, our website. We use community media quite extensively. And we also create unique platforms such as the Champions for Children Volunteering Club, which now has a membership of about 70. That we started early last year to try and formalize our volunteering platforms a little bit. And we use the club for various things. So many people have an idea of volunteering as, you know, you go to the hospital and you paint a child's playroom, for example. But we use our volunteers for much more things like that. And we actually encourage them to participate in our ecosystem. So they can come to us with ideas, for example, of what they'd like to do. We even have volunteers from as far away as KwaZulu-Natal who've never been to Tygerberg Hospital, but they engage with us completely digitally. And some of them have registered as digital fundraisers. So they fundraise for us through their own networks on one of our platforms, which is Give and Gain. And in exchange, we are able to offer them some training or some fun things to do with the group. We engage with them all the time through WhatsApp or Facebook groups, things like this. So it becomes quite a fun thing for them to get involved with. And of course, we encourage them to participate in all sorts of things like medical conferences where I might be speaking, international ones, for example, things like that, you know. So the volunteering club, as opposed to a group of volunteers, is something unique to us. And then this year on Youth Day, we started the Tutu Tigers Club, which is a follow-on of the Archers' patronage. Of course, the Archer and Mrs. Leia are in the years now, so they can't be active patrons anymore. But I asked the Archers' permission to start a club called the Tutu Tigers Club, which would carry on his patronage in a practical sense, founded by some young leaders who come from the immediate areas around Tygerberg Hospital and have personal experience with Tygerberg Hospital, yet have gone on to excel on the global scene. And these four gentlemen who started this club are Vernon Philander, the famous Proteas cricket player, and three Springboks, being Johan de Jong, Ashley Johnson, both of them playing now for the Wasps in the UK, and then Cornel Hendricks, who comes from Wellington, and now is playing for the Bulls. So these guys, each of them are the founders of the Tutu Tigers, and each one of them have adopted one of our 4 baskets of care as their special interest. So through their networks, they can leverage support for us. And it's been quite an interesting journey with them because they are quite connected people and revered globally now. And I think they're also at the right age, coming to the twilight stages of their playing career and now looking how can they give back.
Yeah. So Jason, I just want to ask you, so you've got people part of the Champions for Children in terms of that, and this is to volunteer. This is a call for people to join and make any sort of and somewhat contribution in any way. And can anybody join?
Anybody can join. We've got all sorts belonging to the Champions for Children Club. We've got a very simple prescript for them, which is to honor our values and principles. That's it. And they join a club. So it's not to say that they're going to be deployed for volunteering. They participate in the club, and when we have specific needs, we can ask the group who would like to do specific tasks, or if they want to do something themselves, they can come to us with an idea, and we can help them formulate it and make it work.
Yeah.
Perfect. For all the companies out there and everybody's watching, you know, if you feel that you're wanting to support, please, here's an opportunity to put your foot forward and, you know, assist Tygerberg Children's Trust to be able to give them that elevation and stick to their core values. And especially if you've got those values as well and you want to put it forward, then this is the great opportunity for you to actually do this.
Yeah. And Jason, I wanted to ask you this because I want to talk numbers to you quickly. But I wanted to ask you this: any person that is watching this now might say, you know what, I've got still very good baby clothes that I didn't really use. I mean, we all kind of go through. There's always a shirt or pants or a onesie or a baby suit of sorts. They still got a tag on or anything like that. A lot of people sitting around with baby toys and baby clothes. Can we go out and say, like, any contribution, doesn't matter what it is, I mean, the more the merrier?
Yes. So in terms of clothing, our Kangaroo Mother Care program, which has been started early in the year, still carries on. Mm-hmm. So what we do is we collect clothes for moms and babies, new or second-hand, including toys, as well as toiletries. And we try to make care packages out of that. So every month we can donate, let's say, a couple of 100 care packages just for the KMC moms and their babies. And that's an ongoing thing that just keeps going. Right now we have launched the Latch-On breastfeeding and breast milk drive. And for that we basically need moms to come and donate milk. So they need to come to the hospital, get screened, counseled, and tested. Once they're on the database, they can actually donate milk at the hospital. And that is of vital importance, especially this year. Mm-hmm. Furthermore to that, we also need small glass jars. So glass jars smaller than 250 mils. We are collecting those at the moment. And those are really easy things to do, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, most definitely.
And how would people get in touch with you? With all that information in terms of what your needs are or where you would like the public at large to contribute, would those specific needs be on your website?
Yeah, so the best way is to go to our website, which is tygerbergchildren.org.za, and you'll find everything there. You'll find a link to the Tutu Tigers, or if you want to be a volunteer, you'll find a tab for the Champions for Children Volunteering Club. Mm-hmm. Or if you want to donate, you can also donate across our various platforms. Or if you have an idea, you can email us and get in touch and we can guide you.
Yeah. And Jason, and this is where I want to talk numbers, because we're talking a vast amount of patients here right now. Now, if you had to thumbs up, and I mean, I'm not going to hold you to this, but we would just imagine that this will obviously take a huge financial outlay on an annual basis. And then considering the COVID time right now, that is obviously exponentially increased, right?
Yes. So, are you talking numbers in terms of finances?
Yeah. What kind of numbers are we looking at here to operate at optimum level? And of course, you guys are constantly trying to expand, and the needs are changing all the time as well.
Yes. So if you go back to the slide with the baskets of care and the project types,
yes,
I'll try and talk through examples of some of these, and you can see the numbers that we are talking about here. So if you talk about neonatology and the neonatal ICU,
yes.
The need there right now is for equipment. Each one of these equipment could cost 500,000 Rand to R1 million each. And let's say we need 5 to 10 pieces of equipment. So we're talking millions of rands just for neonatal equipment for the ICU. And that's an urgent need happening right now. But times are tough right now in South Africa. So those kind of funding is mostly geared towards grant writing. So we write to foundations who specifically support equipment purchases for hospitals, and we try and garner support that way. If we look at specialized care, for example, around the hospital, there are many needs for the school. So the school currently is specialized in terms of two things. um, they the adolescents who have psychological problems, or young grade R's who have specific disabilities. The school specializes in those, and they need specialized teachers. But parents are taking strain because they need to buy food and their jobs might be at risk, which means school fees are not being paid, but the kids still need to come to the school. So the school's finances is under strain as well, and the trust tries to help them as well. So all these kind of things unfold. Of course, we can't help everybody. The needs are just too great. So we try and operate on a first come first serve basis. Whoever comes to us through that hospital space with a specific problem and we can articulate it, we can then try and put resources towards it and assign whichever appropriate fundraising or support raising mechanism is appropriate to that problem, which again speaks to the importance of this kind of language of baskets of care and project types.
Yeah. So I just want to touch base. Do you have any future plans? Do you have any upcoming events, anything of that nature for the next while or so, or foreseeable future?
Oh yes. So the end of October, we launched the Latch On Breast Milk Drive, which is currently running at the hospital already, in collaboration with the City of Cape Town, Western Cape Government Health, and the hospital and our trust. We've managed to open 3 extra spaces at the hospital where moms can come and express milk. There's also now a dedicated screening, counseling, and testing space in the hospital. As an extension of this, we lead into the month of November, which is celebrated globally as World Prematurity Month, and the 17th of November, the day being celebrated as World Prematurity Day. So Tygerberg Hospital treats the most preemie babies in the country. That's about 800 preemie babies per annum. And a preemie baby, of course, being smaller than 1,500 grams. At Tygerberg Hospital, they treat babies as small as 400 grams sometimes. So you can see the importance of this month to us. And a fun thing for the public to do is throughout the whole month of November, we're encouraging you to purchase a purple t-shirt from the trust, which has Walking for Preemies at the back and our logo on the front. And you can walk wherever you are in the park, in the beach, in your house on a treadmill if you want to, wherever you like. Take a picture, tag us on social media, and if you like your picture, you might win a prize for the week.
Okay, okay. And the t-shirts you purchase from your website?
Correct. There's a link that takes you to Give and Gain. So through Give and Gain, there's a campaign where you can actually make a purchase of 100 Rand for a t-shirt or make a donation to us. And then we'll just get in touch with you and make arrangements to get your t-shirt to you.
Oh, wow. Come on, guys. Get those t-shirts. I mean, it's for a good cause.
It certainly is. So that is definitely one we'll be looking at now.
Most definitely.
Straight away. Because on your websites, and just listening to what you're saying, so there's various and multiple ways for any viewer, any person, doesn't matter who you are, whoever you are, to get involved and help and support the Tygerberg Hospital's Children's Trust.
That's correct. So if I show you this last slide, which basically speaks to what we are trying to do. We are really about friendship. So we're trying to attract as many people towards the trust and become our friends. Once you're our friends, it's natural for you to support us. And we can do many fun things together. So last year, we actually held World Prematurity Day fun walk and family community fair on the hospital grounds. Of course, this year we can't do that, but that's also fine. And about 700 people came last year. It was completely free for the community. We did a 5-kilometer fun walk, all in purple, around the hospital grounds, and ending with a stage with live music and entertainment for a couple of hours. There were food trucks, inflatable toys for the kids to play in, like jumping castles and soccer fields and all these things. So, it was quite a fun day. And for me, that epitomizes what the trust is about, getting people together to have fun. And while we're doing that, we're supporting the kids of Tygerberg.
That certainly is awesome. And the one thing we do know is that you're definitely serving a huge community from everywhere, as you alluded to. So all the details that you would need to find out more information is simply go to the website, which is www.tygerbergchildren.org.za, and all the details are there. And we really encourage you to be part of this and make a contribution, any contribution. But you know what, Jason, and I wanna summarize it with this. The best part is that we want as a people to become your friend. That is simple.
That's simple.
Looking forward to it.
Any final thoughts from you, sir?
Final thoughts. We've got a hell of a job on our hands, and we are looking for as much help as possible. You don't have to give us money if you don't have it, or if you don't want to. Just come on board and help us and have fun in the process.
Oh, I'll definitely be doing that one. And you know, everybody, at the end of the day, even though with COVID, we still have these babies being born. There's still the premature babies that's being born. We still have these problems that we're having to deal with, even though there is COVID that hasn't stopped, which doesn't mean that we need to stop as well. So we need to look into this and actually, you know, become friends of Tygerberg Children's Trust and look into it and really support them.
No, certainly. But Jason Falcon, CEO of the Tygerberg Hospital Children's Trust, thank you so much for your time. Thank you very much for sharing some of your insights and what the trust is all about. We really appreciate you coming on Mahala Monday. Thank you so much.
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
So that was Jason Falcon. He is the CEO then of the Tygerberg Hospital Children's Trust. And you know what, the one thing I love about this is a lot of things he mentioned. He first said, for any institution like this or a trust like that does the work that they do, firstly they have to prove they are trustworthy. Oh, yeah. And he speaks straight to the value. This is what it's about. The second thing is, it is not just always about asking money, but it's be our friend, become our friend, and let's do this road together. Because wherever you find yourself right now, you might notice certain things that can make a difference, and it's all being part of just being an effective contributor. And especially, we all have a role to play when it comes to the little ones.
Oh, yeah.
This is it, and we heard what the equipment cost.
Oh my word, yes. Definitely, guys. You know, it's daunting just looking at and listening to him. I felt a bit anxious just trying to think, how do you do this? Yeah. I mean, you know, if we don't support them, at the end of the day, they cannot support these families at the end of the day. So it was really, it touched very deep into the heart. Right?
Yeah, and basically, Rhoda, it's like we need to support the Tygerberg Children's Hospital, sure. Because at the end of the day, they're supporting us.
They're supporting us.
That's what it is. So all the details you need on the Tygerberg Hospital Trust, simply go to www.tygerbergchildren.org.za. There's ways for you to contribute. You'll find, of course, the links to become a friend and any sort of way that you can contribute. And more importantly, you stay abreast and stay up to date what is happening, which certainly is a very, very innovative organization as they continually strive to try and make a difference. So all I can say is thank you, and I salute you, and by all means, of course, you have a role to play as well, because you need to share and like this specific video so the outreach can be as far as wide. Do it for the little ones, please.
And subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell.
And that wraps it up then which has been a very exciting and a very informative, I must say, another episode of Mahala Monday. As Rhoda said, you like this, you share this, and you hit the bell, and then you'll get the notifications of future episodes and what is installed next. And of course, next time around, we're going to bring you more of the similar episodes, more of the similar information, so you definitely stay afloat of everything else. But once again, from my side, thank you very much for joining us. Also, thank you for engaging us with us. Thank you for sharing it. And also, thank you very much to Jason Falcon from the Tygerberg Hospital Children's Trust for joining us today on Mahala Monday. From my side, ta-da!
And from my side, don't forget, see you next week Monday for Mahala Monday. Ta-da!